that failure is an important part of the process. So, because the other problem then is that if you have the wrong expectation and you think I should not fail, failure is bad. Failure means defeat. Failure means that I will never succeed. Then you will hold yourself back. You'll at best you'll probably do it in fits and starts, right? You've probably had that in your life with something where there's something and you keep coming back to it, and then you stop, and then you come back to it, and then you stop. And it's likely because of the um, failure to understand the importance of failure. When you can understand the importance of failure and the value of failure, you can start to embrace it. And this can greatly transform things, and it will allow you to achieve what you want much more efficiently, rapidly, and joyfully. So instead of viewing failure as something catastrophic or bad or wrong or indicating that that it's not working, it's more useful to view failure as feedback, because that's what it is. It's just a discrepancy between what it is that your action has produced and the idea that initiated that process. And just I want to emphasize this again, that this creative process is ultimately aimed at self-knowledge. So in the long run, none of the material things that we want to achieve actually matter in and of themselves. I mean, if you think about it, your body is not going to last forever. Your physical body will not last forever. So the needs of the physical body cannot in and of themselves be of supreme importance. The desires related to the particular body cannot be of supreme importance. However, they're important as vehicles for self-knowledge. So the willingness to engage in that creative process is actually for self-knowledge. That's the ultimate aim. And of course, along the way, you can achieve things that are fulfilling at a material level. And that's fine and good. But the ultimate aim is self-knowledge. And that knowledge is gained through this creative process. So in order to achieve that, there's a necessity of failure. And it's actually, the more frequently you fail in the right way, the better. So if you have the expectation that every action that you take will result in some degree of failure, in other words, feedback, then you can stop holding yourself back. You can realize that failure is actually desirable. Now, I'm not saying that failing in the same way over and over and over is desirable, because that's not true. All that indicates is that you're not actually present to the process, because the failure is actually feedback. You need to take that feedback and use that so that you can adjust the next action so that you can have a more refined outcome. So if you just repeat the same thing over and over and over, that's not growth, that's not learning, that's not self-knowledge. That's just mechanical. That's just repetitive. That's unconscious. So that's why I say failing in the right way is crucial for success. So how do you fail in the right way? Well, one thing is obviously to be conscious, to be present, and to observe what the process is. You have to be aware of the action that you're taking in order to be able to modify it or adjust. So having awareness of how you're taking the action is important. And that action can be an action of It can be even an internal action. It can be an action of how you think. It can be an action of how you imagine. It can be an action of how you create your states. It could also be the outer action. So awareness of all of that is a necessary ingredient for failing in the right way. Because otherwise, you're just repeating the same thing mindlessly. So you have to be aware. Now, how can you be aware? Well, slow it down. So if you find that so if there's something that you're wanting to achieve, you have a goal, you have some ambition, something that you want in your life, some desire that you'd like to fulfill, then number one, get clarity about what it is. So that's to get clarity about the idea. And then number two is take action consciously. Slow down the action. And what you will often find is that your action is too big. So if you're trying to take too big of an action, then two problems emerge. One is that you can't be sufficiently aware of that process because it's too big. And the second thing is that the failure will be too big and will set you back. So, for example, if the first time you tried to walk, you decided that you were going to leap from a tall surface, from the kitchen table, then that would probably be too big of a failure, right? It would hurt a lot and it would set you back from progressing in making improvements in that thing. So better is to chunk it down into something small so that you can be aware of the process of the action and that the failure will be small enough that it's digestible. So think about something that you want to achieve in your life. Could be anything that you want. Get a sense of what that is. So this is the standard that you're using to measure the outcome. You have to have clarity about that. What is that? And then ask yourself, what is the next action that you're going to take in alignment with that so that you can achieve that? And that action can be, as I said, it can be an internal action, it can be an external action. And imagine yourself taking that action. And notice, are you able to be continuously aware of yourself while you're taking that action? If not, slow it down. Do the action more slowly. And if that's still too much, then do a smaller action. So you want to make the action small enough and slow enough that you can remain continuously aware so that when you reach the point of failure, you have knowledge of the entire action and the failure is small enough that it's digestible. And just notice that probably for most of us at least, there will be some pressure that we've put on ourselves that we have to do it faster. We have to do more. This is not enough, we say. It's too urgent. It's too important. We've got to get it all figured out right now. We have to achieve perfection now. But if you notice, that kind of thinking actually results in being stuck because you don't have sufficient awareness of the action and you can't digest the feedback. So instead, you just repeat mechanically the same things, fail in the same way, get hurt in the same way without gaining any greater awareness of any of it. No increased self-knowledge. For whatever reason, I don't know why this is. I coach a lot of people who do trading, and I see trading is a great metaphor for life because the same problem emerges there, where there's a system, and all the person has to do is follow the system, but they fail to do so because of this tendency to think I have to achieve something faster and bigger than it's possible for me to achieve with awareness. If a person got some big win, they invested in something and overnight the stock quadruples, and they invested $10,000 and now they've got $40,000, and they say, wow, it's amazing, big win. Well, it's not repeatable. That's the problem. That's the deception, is when we by chance have a big win, whatever that is in our lives, in whatever area that might be in our lives. Just notice how you've had those big wins at moments in your lives. Something, just luck, right? Just luck is on your side in that moment. You meet that person and you fall in love, and it's all seems so perfect for that little while. Or, just because of luck, you're able to do some kind of physical feat. But the problem is that you don't actually know how you do it. You don't have conscious awareness of it. And so it's not repeatable. And as soon as any of the conditions change, it falls apart. You can't sustain it because you didn't actually learn anything. You just were lucky. Luck is great. Luck is an important part of the process because that adds in those little spurts that, if you're aware, you can rapidly gain a lot of knowledge. But the key is to be aware. And in order to do that, you have to practice on all the little things. You have to be willing to slow it down and chunk it down so that you can gain mastery of each little tiny step, because that will give you the continuous self-knowledge that fills in all the gaps so you can repeat that same process over and over and over.